noticed how a really simple everyday errand can just suddenly escalate into this high stakes emotional journey?
Oh, absolutely. It happens all the time.
Right. Like you step out of your front door on a Saturday afternoon and you have this clear single track goal.
Just one thing to do.
Exactly. Maybe you just need to pick up one specific item and it should take, 20 minutes tops.
Sure.
But then within an hour, the whole environment turns against you. The plan completely falls apart and you feel like you're desperately trying to survive, the climax of an action movie.
It is genuinely fascinating how quickly that happens. Like how our internal monologue, and especially the language we use to describe our day, how it shifts from casual to just completely catastrophic.
Oh, 100%.
We routinely use these incredibly intense, emotionally charged words to describe events that are, well, objectively speaking, very ordinary inconveniences.
And that is exactly what we are getting into today. We're exploring a deep dive into a really relatable modern experience, a
Mhm.
shopping trip that just goes completely off the rails.
A very familiar scenario for all of us.
Yeah. And our sources for this deep dive, they give us this narrative that starts in the physical aisles of a crowded mall and then eventually, retreats to the digital glow of online shopping.
Right.
But we aren't just looking at the logistics of buying something. That would be boring.
Right. It's so much deeper than that.
Exactly. We are going to deeply analyze the specific vocabulary we use to describe the friction of modern life and, what that language really reveals about our towering expectations of convenience.
Which is so beneficial for anyone trying to really master the nuances of the English language.
Totally. So as you listen today, keep this question in the back of your mind. Why do we deploy a powerful, terrifying word like nightmare to describe something as mundane as buying a piece of clothing?
Well, to really understand that, I
Yeah.
think we have to look at the inciting incident from our source material.
Let's do it.
So the scenario begins with someone heading to a physical mall to buy a dress for a cousin's wedding. And the intent is super straightforward. It's an errand that is mentally scheduled to be a quick surgical strike.
Just get in and get out.
Exactly. Get in, find the dress, pay, get out. But almost immediately, physical reality just shatters that expectation.
And that physical reality being, well, other people.
Yes, the crowds.
The sources describe the store as being packed with people. And we aren't talking about like a busy afternoon. We're talking about wall-to-wall crowds where you are practically bumping shoulders just to navigate the aisles.
It's so overwhelming.
It is. And then the shopper finally finds the dress, but then they have to wait in this seemingly endless, unmoving line just to get into the fitting room.
And after enduring all of that physical toll, I mean, the noise, the crowd, the climax of the physical trip is total disappointment.
Oh, the worst.
Right. The dress simply does not fit. And to compound the issue, the store is entirely out of stock in any other size.
So frustrating.
Exactly. The physical environment has completely failed to meet the consumer's need after demanding a massive investment of their time. And this specific moment of failure is where the vocabulary in our sources gets incredibly expressive.
Yeah, it really does.
The first key concept we encounter here is the feeling of something being frustrating.
Let's actually talk about what frustrating feels like, because it's not just a passive annoyance, right?
No, not at all.
It's an active block. The sources provide a couple of brilliant analogies that really capture the psychological weight of this word. They liken the frustration of this mall trip to the feeling of losing one single tiny screw while you are assembling a massive piece of furniture.
Oh, that analogy works so perfectly. Really does.
All right. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's because of the sunk cost. When you are building furniture, you have invested hours of your afternoon. You have the instruction manual laid out. Your tools are scattered everywhere.
You can basically see the finished product.
Exactly. You can see the final shape of the bookshelf or the bed frame. You are inches away from the finish line. And then one missing piece of metal completely halts your progress.
You're just stuck.
You are. You cannot move forward, and you cannot easily go back. The frustration stems from being trapped in an incomplete state after doing everything right.
The sources also compare it to baking, which I love.
Oh yes, the baking analogy.
Yeah, like you are in the middle of making this beautiful, complex cake. You've mixed the dry ingredients. You've cracked the eggs.
The oven is already preheated.
Yes. And then you reach into the pantry and realize you are entirely out of sugar.
Oh, it's devastating.
It is. Because of one missing item, the entire project collapses. But here's where I kind of want to push back on human nature a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
We take these moments, a missing screw, a missing cup of sugar, a dress that doesn't fit after waiting in a long line, and we escalate our language to just a drastic degree. I mean, the sources don't just call the mall trip frustrating, they use the word nightmare.
Which is a massive leap in intensity.
It really
I
is.
mean, a nightmare implies terror. It
Yeah.
implies helplessness, a complete loss of safety.
Right. And we're talking about buying clothing for a wedding, yet the sources explicitly compare this mall experience to like missing a flight due to heavy traffic and being forced to sleep on a cold airport floor overnight.
Wow.
Or they compare it to being physically stuck on a roller coaster that has broken down at the highest peak for an entire hour.
That really is a nightmare.
Right. It might have started out as a fun ride, but being physically trapped turns it into a literal nightmare. So I have to ask, do we treat minor inconveniences as catastrophic events? Like, does our modern lack of patience make these physical world friction points feel significantly worse than they actually are?
That is such a profound question. And if we look at the underlying psychology, it isn't simply a matter of people being spoiled or, impatient.
Okay, what is it then?
It is really about a violent clash of expectations. We live in an era where speed and efficiency are the default baseline.
We expect things instantly.
Exactly. So when your brain expects a quick task and instead hits the brick wall of physical reality, like the overwhelming crowds, the lack of inventory, the unmoving line, the emotional response is genuine distress.
That makes sense.
Your brain perceives the loss of time as a tangible threat.
Ah. So when you are standing in a fitting room line for 30 minutes, your brain is literally sending off alarm bells because you are bleeding out your most valuable resource, which is your time.
Yes. And your agency.
What do you mean?
Well, you are trapped in a system you cannot control. You can't make the line move faster. You can't magically manifest the dress in your size.
Right.
Emotionally speaking, words like nightmare and frustrating perfectly capture the psychological state of the shopper in that exact moment. They feel entirely powerless. The language reflects the internal emotional spike, not necessarily the objective severity of the event.
Which completely explains why as someone listening to this right now, might use the word nightmare to describe a bad commute or just a trip to the grocery store.
It's just
You are expressing a deep human reaction to a sudden, jarring loss of control. And that sudden loss of control, it's actually the perfect catalyst for the next phase of our shopper's journey.
it is.
Because the physical world failed completely, so the only logical response is to retreat and find a frictionless alternative.
Right, so the shopper leaves the crowded mall completely empty-handed. They navigate back home, sit down on their couch, and they open their laptop.
Back to safety.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the digital world delivers exactly what the physical world withheld. They find the exact same dress online.
And not only do they find the exact dress in the correct size, but the sources actually note that they find it on sale.
A total win.
A huge win. And to stack a victory on top of a victory, they browse around and find a pair of matching shoes at a 20% discount.
Which feels amazing.
It does. And this scenario perfectly encapsulates our next vital concept, which is the idea of something being convenient.
And this is such an important word. We often think of convenient as just meaning easy, but it goes so much deeper than that. Something is convenient when it fits seamlessly into your specific plans and reduces the friction of your daily existence.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. The sources point out how we apply this concept to everyday tools.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a microwave is convenient because it bypasses the friction of preheating an oven and washing multiple pans just to have a hot meal.
Right, or like how a fitness app on your smartphone is convenient because it does the complex math of tracking your miles and your heart rate, saving you the friction of, logging it manually.
Exactly.
Or simply having a grocery store on the corner of your street is convenient because it removes the friction of a 30-minute drive. It is all about smoothing out the road.
Smoothing out the road. That's a great way to put it.
But looking at our source narrative, there is a really deep irony here.
Okay, tell me.
We make this massive, hopeful effort to leave our house to experience something in person. We endure the traffic, the crowds, the sensory overload,
Right.
and we fail. And then we retreat back to our living rooms to achieve the exact same goal while wearing our sweatpants.
Yes, we do.
So my question is it really a triumph of modern convenience if online shopping primarily serves as an emergency backup plan for when the real world defeats us?
That is a brilliant observation, and it certainly looks like a retreat on the surface. You've basically fled the battlefield of the mall to the safety of the living room.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we dig into the mechanics of what the shopper is actually doing on that laptop, Convenience here is not about physical laziness. It is profoundly connected to the concept of autonomy.
Autonomy, meaning um, the ability to govern yourself, to be independent and make your own choices without outside interference.
Yes, buying that dress from the safety of the couch restores the autonomy that was entirely stripped away while waiting in that agonizing line at the mall.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
Think about it. In the physical store, the crowd dictated your speed. The store manager dictated the available inventory. But when you transition to online shopping, you instantly become the master of the environment.
You dictate the pace. You can filter by size instantly. You don't have to rifle through a messy rack of clothes. You can open like 3 tabs and compare prices across different retailers in seconds.
Yes. The couch ceases to be just a place of rest. It transforms into a command center.
A command center. I love that.
And the word convenient in this digital context means reclaiming your personal agency. You secure the discount. You ensure the size is right. We naturally gravitate toward digital convenience because humans are fundamentally driven to maintain control over their environment. The digital world offers the illusion of absolute control.
But as the sources reveal, that control is an illusion.
It is.
The digital world is not a flawless utopia. Just because you have a command center doesn't mean the mission is a guaranteed success. The autonomy you just described comes with a hidden cost, and that leads us to the hidden friction of the virtual world.
This is where it gets really interesting because even after securing the dress, the discount, and the shoes, the shopper experiences this lingering, nagging anxiety while sitting on the couch.
Right, the physical trial is over, but a new psychological trial begins.
Exactly. What if the dress arrives in the mail and it still doesn't fit properly? The physical store failed them once. What if the mail order version fails too?
This is the universal dread of the online shopper.
It really is.
Because returning online purchases can be a massive, looming burden. The sources actually note that many retailers have recognized this psychological barrier, and now they offer free return shipping to ease the customer's mind.
Right. They try to make the command center feel completely risk-free.
But the barrier absolutely remains. The sources give us 2 fantastic concepts to describe the specific dread of an online return. It is a hassle, and it is tricky.
Let's break those down because they are so useful for learners to grasp. A hassle is a very specific type of annoyance. It is something bothersome that requires unwanted, tedious effort.
A chore you didn't ask for.
Precisely. The sources compare returning an online item to the severe hassle of getting a broken car repaired. You have to disrupt your schedule, deal with mechanics, figure out alternative transportation. It is a heavy logistical weight.
Or they compare it to dealing with difficult customer service representatives over the phone, pressing 0 over and over to reach a human being.
Oh, that is the worst.
Or just the sheer physical exhaustion of carrying heavy groceries up 3 flights of stairs because the elevator is broken. A hassle isn't just annoying, it drains your energy.
It really does. And then there is the concept of a situation being tricky.
Right, how is that different?
Well, if a hassle is physically or logistically draining, something that is tricky is mentally draining because it is not straightforward. It requires careful navigation.
Okay, I see.
The sources illustrate this feeling beautifully. They compare a tricky situation to navigating a complex, unfamiliar city without a map. Every turn is a potential mistake.
It is like trying to follow highly confusing, poorly translated instructions.
Right.
Or the mental strain of multitasking, like handling a work call, answering an email, and keeping an eye on a boiling pot on the stove all at once. It requires immense mental gymnastics to pull off without a disaster.
Exactly.
And online shopping feels like a trapdoor. Falling into the trapdoor is incredibly easy and entirely convenient. You click buy now, gravity does all the work, and the dopamine hits your brain.
But climbing back out.
Yes, climbing back out of that trapdoor, navigating the return process is incredibly tricky.
Because you have to find the original packaging. You have to hunt down the specific packing tape you put in a drawer 3 months ago.
Good luck finding that.
Right. You have to log back into the website, navigate to the order history, find the tiny link to print the return label, make sure your printer actually has ink.
It never has ink.
Never. Then tape it to the box, and then physically drive to a specific shipping center during their operating hours. The buying process took 30 seconds, but the return process can take days of fragmented effort.
It is a massive hassle to climb out of that trapdoor. And retailers kind of weaponize our desire for convenience on the front end, making it frictionless to buy, knowing that the sticky, tricky back end will just discourage us from ever making the return.
That trapdoor analogy perfectly illustrates the grand trade-off of our modern digital lives. We aren't actually eliminating friction.
We aren't.
No, we are simply moving it. We willingly trade the immediate upfront friction of the physical world, the packed crowds, the waiting in line for ages, the lack of inventory, for the delayed back-end friction of the digital world, the repackaging, the printing, the anxious waiting for the refund to hit your bank account.
We are literally scheduling our frustration for a later date.
That is exactly what we're doing. We never truly eliminate the friction of life. We just choose which type of friction we prefer to tolerate in a given moment.
Wow.
So when you choose the convenient digital path and it suddenly turns into a massive hassle a week later, it isn't a failure of the system. It is simply the delayed invoice for the autonomy and control you purchased while sitting on your couch.
That is so inspiring to think about, really. Understanding that trade-off gives you so much power over your own reactions. So having explored the immediate pitfalls of the physical mall and the delayed traps of the digital world, we have to look at the ultimate goal.
Right.
What does the consumer actually want at the end of this exhausting journey? Because the sources conclude with the shopper expressing a very simple, grounded desire.
Yeah, they do.
They just want the dress situation fully resolved before the wedding weekend arrives. They are relying entirely on the hope that the package ships, arrives on time, and fits.
And this desire for resolution brings us to a deeply satisfying linguistic concept, the idea of getting a situation sorted or sorted out.
I love that phrase. When you get something sorted, you are successfully fixing a problem. You are taking a chaotic pile of variables and organizing them into a clean, functioning system. The sources give some highly relatable examples of this feeling. It is like taking a messy, overwhelming work schedule, where meetings are overlapping and deadlines are completely scrambled, and taking the time to methodically organize it until it makes sense.
Or sitting down to get your personal finances strictly in order. Paying the bills, checking the balances, doing all of that before you can finally mentally check out and go on a vacation.
Such a relief.
Or a professional tech team scrambling behind the scenes to rapidly fix a crashed website so the users experience a smooth interface again. When a situation is sorted, the anxiety evaporates, the chaos is contained.
It is the linguistic equivalent of a deep collective exhale.
That's a beautiful way to phrase it.
The shopper in our narrative explicitly states they just want this entire dress situation sorted out without any more drama.
And in everyday language, drama refers to a situation involving unnecessary conflict, heavy emotional reactions, or prolonged difficulty.
Right.
The sources illustrate this by pointing to high school, an environment notoriously fueled by emotional drama and gossip, or an office environment filled with unnecessary interpersonal tension and politics. The shopper wants the transaction to be flat, functional, and devoid of a narrative arc.
But why do we use a theatrical term drama for acquiring a simple piece of fabric? We aren't acting in a play.
That's true.
Are we just trying to avoid tension, or does this reveal that we are constantly seeking a utopian life that is perfectly sorted and entirely under our control? We want the script of our lives to go exactly as written, and any deviation is labeled drama.
That is the core conflict of modern convenience. And honestly, for anyone listening and learning English right now, mastering these phrases, understanding what it means to avoid drama and get things sorted, is really about understanding how human beings attempt to navigate an inherently unpredictable world.
Absolutely.
We fundamentally crave a sorted life. We want our transactions to be frictionless. We want the supply chain to be invisible. We want zero drama.
But the reality of human existence is that the world is chaotic. Stores run out of stock. Traffic jams happen. Delivery trucks break down.
They always do. And when things inevitably get tricky and the convenient path suddenly becomes a hassle, we are forced to confront the fact that our personal control is highly limited. The couch might feel like a command center, but we are not the directors of the universe.
So what happens when that illusion of control breaks down? What do we do when we've clicked by and now we just have to wait?
We rely on the final concept highlighted in the sources. We keep our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
It is a universal gesture of hoping for good luck and a positive outcome. You literally cross your middle finger over your index finger to ward off bad luck and wish for success.
It is an act of surrender. You have done everything you can. You navigated the crowded mall, you retreated to the digital command center, you paid the money, and now it's just out of your hands.
It is a beautiful balancing act. We utilize incredible technology and vast supply chains to organize our lives and sort out our problems as best we can, but ultimately, we must always accept a certain level of chaos.
Yeah.
We build systems of convenience to give ourselves autonomy, but at the very end of the line, we are still just crossing our fingers and hoping the mail arrives on time.
We have covered a tremendous amount of ground navigating this journey today. We started in a packed, physical mall that felt like a frustrating nightmare due to the sheer clash of modern expectations and physical reality.
We really did.
And then we retreated to the couch-bound convenience of digital shopping, only to discover the hidden, tricky hassles of the virtual trapdoor.
And through it all, we discovered that whether you are navigating the crowded streets of your city or the complex checkout screens of an online store, the desire to reclaim your time, avoid drama, and get your life sorted is a universal human drive.
It connects all of us.
It does. And by understanding the deep emotional weight behind this vocabulary, you can better articulate the friction you encounter every single day.
That is so true. Before you close out of this deep dive, take a moment to consider this the next time you find yourself stuck in a seemingly endless line or facing a highly complicated, frustrating online return process.
Take a deep breath.
Yes, take a deep breath and ask yourself, are you truly experiencing a nightmare? Or is the real challenge simply learning how to tolerate a little bit of natural human friction in a world that constantly promises us endless convenience?
That is a wonderful thought to leave everyone with.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. If you found this conversation inspiring and if it helped you on your journey to mastering English, please subscribe to the channel.
And don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends who are also learning English.
Getting your vocabulary sorted out doesn't have to be a hassle.
Keep your fingers crossed and keep learning.
We will catch you in the next deep dive.